Hi, I'm Kerry Chug, and I'm working to get my own work published in comics, and that's the main reason why I started this channel. I intend to find the kind of programming that will enable me to better put these videos together. I just didn't want to wait until then to get started. If you're watching this video, chances are you saw my first video, which is a trailer for the comic book series I'm looking to start publishing. Since I'm not an established writer yet, I wanted to open up discussion on various topics in storytelling, hoping we can have some fun and insightful conversations, so please include your insights in your comments below. I wanted to start with storytelling in comics, specifically today, plot. The dictionary definition is the main events of a play, novel, movie, or similar work devised and presented by the writer as an interrelated sequence. So from here, I want to go into depth on the universally recognized components of plot. First, exposition. So I myself don't like to deal with rules in storytelling. In some ways, they feel like they shackle you, but you gotta have structure, so there's no avoiding that. So you gotta pay attention to that type of thing. But there's no escaping the fact that confusing the reader must be fundamentally avoided. And exposition here is to check against that. You got to understand that everything needs to be set up so readers can understand who the main characters are, their setting, and their objectives. One of my favorite writers in comics, Mark Waid, he would start his stories when he was writing The Flash. He would say, "My name is Wally West, the fastest man alive," a bit corny, yet it's simple, clear, and ensures that no heads would be spinning. And having never heard of exposition methods getting copyrighted, I use that method. As my comic book trailer shows, my character's crime fighter name is Sledge. But since that name is on the cover, I always start the story with a quick caption: "My name is Carl Eisenberg," his real name. And I make sure I have panoramic panels that show where they are and why. What important things are happening with that, why it's important to this story. And one basic rule is don't put anything in there that's your own darling. You gotta murder your darlings. Got to be something that moves the story forward. Nothing shouldn't move the story forward. And what I typically want to start with it, what's normal for that setting, I make a point of giving that feeling of the characters and the plot looking forward, establishing the conflict as early as possible. And at the same time, I always make an effort to put in a hook, basically an attention getter. That first page should invoke excitement, intrigue, or mystery. As many of those, and with as much strength as you can work into them. Think about how the James Bond movies start out, that prologue, how that works, and usually that works to get your attention and get you excited to watch the rest of the movie. And my first Sledge story starts with a discrete image of him suiting up, inviting the intrigue. I've written a script that starts with a fugitive on the run, and several others start him with in the middle of the brawl. That's kind of typical, but make the effort to stimulate the reader. Second, rising action. And now, gradually, conflict arises and challenges the protagonist or protagonists. Usually, at least with superhero comics, that involves a new menace to the common good in the form of a villain. I've had fun implementing that, but I also think about the characters' emotional conflicts. Clobbering the bad guys keeps us rooting for the heroes, but just as engaging is when our empathies are triggered for them, maybe even sympathies. As long as the readers have emotional needs, we will know that they will be intrigued by the heroes who have some of the same, whether they be acceptance, belonging, relationships, approval, or appreciation. And third, climax. Here we cross the finish line, and I'm not a fisher. What makes this challenging is for it to feel like something that the reader hasn't experienced before. And your goal is to make the end as unpredictable as possible, as in, yes, a twist to ending, M. Night Shyamalan, he had to learn quick that the well runs dry when it comes to something big, and I find it's not that hard for the last move to come out of nowhere, like the last thing that brings about victory for the protagonist. So that's typical of what you get when it comes to the hero story. And you know, the more you think about plot, the more you want to make sure it has structure. The more you want the things to come in coherent, not incoherent, but coherent. And you want your story to stimulate above all. And, you know, plot is your basic guide thing for that. I myself, when it comes to formulating plots, I'm not a big fan of just the 3-act structure. More or less, you know, figuring out the where we're headed, what the final destination would be, the essential conflict, what key events would be involved with that, and making that. And from there, fleshing out what key transitional scenes would be involved there. You know, think of it as a petri dish. And I've always felt good about the plots that came from there, at least as of late. I mean, everybody has to start out with experiments, and more you realize those experiments don't pan out when you want to get through that learning curve. Though the learning curve should never stop. But overall, you want it to be something that has a natural flow to it. But that's my gist on plot. I hope we can start stimulate some conversation here. I would love to see what insights anybody else has, or any criticisms anybody might have on what my insights are. Anything. I've never believed in an end of learning, and I always see even among us more established writers, there's always something that they essentially learn or find that they can do to improve their storytelling, or find variety in how they tell the story so that everything doesn't seem so formulaic. But that's the gist of it. Hope we can have a conversation again. Everybody have a wonderful day.